Well, he managed to do it again. Yes, Trump did it again. All weekend and into Tuesday, the market was pretty much forced to price in the possibility of even more escalations with Iran. Reuters reported that Trump had threatened attacks on Iranian bridges, power plants, and the broader rhetoric pointed to a possible major bombing escalation if the Strait of Hormuz stayed blocked and our oil stayed off at sea. Now, suddenly tonight, we have a 2 week ceasefire. Oil gets crushed and Bitcoin rips up to 72K as the market tries to price in the relief. Look, Reuters reported that Brent fell as much as almost 20% and WTI as much as 14.3 on this ceasefire headline. So oil dumped, Bitcoin pumped, and pretty much all the other markets rallied. But here's the problem. Markets dislike uncertainty, and these taco Trump trades are the epitome of an uncertain market. Thing is, I don't like it either because who knows what could happen next? More bombings, a ceasefire, another reversal. Do we even know who's telling the truth anymore? And that's why I'm not ready to scream, hey, we're back. Just understand it's statements like Trump made here on Truth Social just the other day that make the market do what it does. And this is exactly how people get trapped. They never get trapped when fear is obvious. They get trapped after a violent move. And usually that's a violent relief move. And that's when everyone starts acting like the danger is over. But that's how traders and DeFi investors get smoked in this space. They chase the move, they confuse relief with strength, and they forget that we are in a bear market and we were in extreme fear for a reason. And I still think another leg down is possible. And yes, I'm still in my shorts, but if you were a part of our free Telegram group, you would already know this. Right now, we're sitting at 18 on the fear and greed index, but I actually think this could spike unless we dump very quickly going into the morning, which does not necessarily seem the case at the time being. But I promise to you that in this video, I'm going to break down what changed from earlier this week, why the market reacted so hard, why I'm still hesitant to call the market bullish, and why I'm watching BTC and ETH right now like a hawk, and why I'm considering taking some profits and positioning into DeFi stables and maybe a few shorts, and why I still think patience matters in this bear market much more than hype. So, if you appreciate calm driven crypto market analysis, hit that like and subscribe button and drop a comment below. It helps with the algorithm, and I very much appreciate it. Now, earlier this week, the market looked extremely heavy. Fear was elevated, macro pressure was totally in control of the market, and oil risk was a major concern. The whole setup was starting to feel like one more bad headline could push risk assets into another leg down. That was my read. But today, the headline flipped. Reuters reported that Trump has now agreed to suspend bombing of Iran for 2 weeks if they opened up the Strait of Hormuz. This is just days after harsher rhetoric of bombings of infrastructure, bridges, even nuclear power plants. So, yes, today the short term picture improved. We got stopped out of many of our trades, but we did re enter and we caught that BTC short right at 72K. That was probably our best one. But if you looked on crypto Twitter or Telegram, many of retail investors out there are treating this headline like a complete reversal, a beginning of the bull. And I'm not doing that. I've been in this space long enough to know Bitcoin and the markets like to trick us because a pump and a bear can't be real without being durable and having volume behind it. And a relief rally can still fail extremely hard, especially if uncertainty comes back into the market, which could happen tomorrow. I wanted to share a little bit of happiness and not just talk about the charts. This past weekend, I stepped away, took my little girl on a hike up to Granville Mountain and into the Linville Caverns. And honestly, all of us need to do this time from time. We had to take some time to spend with family, and we celebrated the life of my grandmother, our family's matriarch. I needed to be there for family, especially my mom. It was a time to, both the hikes, the time with my daughter, the time with family, it gave time to reset, zoom out, and understand what's important in life. Now, coming back, my takeaway was extremely simple. On the surface, nothing much has changed with the market. It looked terrible less than 48 hours ago, but underneath, all the risk was still there. Structure is still weak, and the environment right now is completely unforgiving. And still, that is how I see the market. So, is there a better headline today? Yes, I don't want to see death and destruction. I don't want war to happen anywhere. But this is not a political channel, and I'm not a believer that the market is fixed yet. So much. Well, the market moved because macro moved. It's not just some magical crypto only breakout. The entire reaction came from the repricing of the geopolitical risk in the Iran conflict that's going on right now. If the Strait of Hormuz opens up, you need to understand that that strait handles around 20% of oil and gas flows throughout the world, especially Asia. So when the market thinks that risk is easing, oil tends to get hit and risk assets will begin to breathe. If you take a look at our graphic, it makes perfect sense. Threats, oil spikes, economy goes down, ceasefire, oil dumps, Bitcoin pumps. Pretty simple. And that matters because crypto is not leading in this environment. In fact, politics and oil are what are leading right now. And if macro uncertainty comes back, guess what? Crypto is going to give back these gains really fast and oil will start pumping again. I do not think we are out of the woods yet. And trust me, here is why I'm hesitant. The ceasefire has only been 2 weeks. Reuters has also reported that uncertainty remains high with continued missile and drone threats. A lot of skeptical analysts, and honestly, lots and lots of questions about whether this will actually create a lasting peace. Because what could happen next? More bombs, a failed negotiation, another Hormuz threat, another oil spike. The market hates that kind of uncertainty. So do we all. And that is why I'm screaming, we're not so back yet. And that's why I'm still cautious. And that's why I think another leg down for Bitcoin is still on the table right now, although we could pump. And I still have my spot bags if that happens. So the next 2 weeks are going to be pivotal. Do you believe this is a real breakout or is this just a relief pump? Take a look at Bitcoin on the weekly, it doesn't look that much different. But if we go down to a lower time frame like the 4 hour, you can see that Bitcoin pushed all the way up to 72K today. It was an extremely strong move, and the bulls do deserve credit for that. So there you go. But I honestly care more about whether Bitcoin can hold the move than I care about Bitcoin's reaction. Because if Bitcoin cannot hold the strength after the headline effect fades, this starts looking more like a short squeeze than some kind of structural shift, which is my base case. Now, I also think that Ethereum matters too. And look, Ethereum had an even bigger pump on the day. Now, today, Ethereum pumped. If you look, Ethereum pumped 10% on the day, or excuse me, Ethereum pumped 10% on the day. We need to keep an eye on Bitcoin dominance because over the last little bit, Bitcoin dominance pumped massively, and we could retrace a little bit, meaning if we go down, altcoins might retain their value, at least the large caps, even more so than Bitcoin. We'll just have to wait and see. Now, if we zoom out on the weekly, on the total crypto market cap, when you zoom out on the weekly, you can still tell this is an extremely defensive market with a sharp relief bounce. Heck, we haven't even made it back up to the 100-week moving average yet. We are still closer to the 200-week than we are to the 100-week, and that distinction matters. Because when fear is high and Bitcoin dominance is strong, the altcoins will lag, right? That's not clean, that's not broad strength, but Bitcoin has pumped so much, it may dump even more than some altcoins. And that's why I don't want to treat this as a full risk on environment, even if we get some pumps with altcoins. This is still a market where patience matters, and it's a market where discipline matters. It's where you can overtrade and it will kill your portfolio. Trust me, I know this. So where am I at? I'm still flexible, but I'm not aggressive in this market. And yes, I'm still in shorts with my leverage trades and with my DeFi positions. But that doesn't mean I'm ignoring this bounce. It means I don't trust this move enough to assume the risk is gone. It's still like having, like, I still enjoy having meaningful stable coin exposure, and there's still a lot of good yields over at Pendle. And we've been playing around with Sale, having AI agents manage our yield on the base blockchain. And now it's even multi chain, which is really interesting to see how the AI agent manages our stables. But remember, cash is positioned in a bear market. And if we continue to pump, I will slowly take profits and build up more stable coin exposure right now. This is the kind of market where building dry powder and being patient is a position too. And that's a this is also a time period where people can get quietly hurt in DeFi. They see the green candle, they see a better tone, they think they see some big APY on the dashboard and want to rebalance that position at a loss. And they forget to ask themselves, where's that yield coming from? And what risk am I taking to sit underneath it? That can be a trap. Remember, if your underlying asset is weak and your liquidity is thin, the rewards are not durable, the API will not save you, and you will lose capital. That's why I prefer quality, survivability, flexibility, and sustainability over high APR numbers. Just remember, one relief pump does not magically turn quality low yield into good positioning. And understand that during this time, altcoins like Arrow and Tau are some of the most fragile areas of the market. But as the bear market continues, we need to consider some of these narratives. Some have yield, some look cheap, some have a narrative that, bodes well for speculators, but cheap is not the same thing as strong. Now, what I think is looking like one of the most interesting altcoins coming out of this cycle is the Tau blockchain. Now, I know Tau is not a new project, but their AI infrastructure and their modeling after Bitcoin with a hard cap at 21 million and their mining process, it still looks like an interesting outlier, especially for the AI narrative. But even there, I'm not pretending that anything is immune from the macro backdrop. Look at some of these subnet performances, negative 12% on the month, 14, negative 27. But then there's other ones like Templar that are up 100%. Now, this website is TauStats, and I use TauStats to keep up with some of my staking yield. Right now, you're taking a glance at my Tau subnet portfolio, but even here, I'm not pretending that it's immune because if the macro backdrop breaks again, these are going to plummet. But that's the point. Selective strength in a market like this can matter, but it's not broad confirmation. Now, now, please understand that my game plan is still scenario based. If this ceasefire holds and oil stays under control and Bitcoin proves it can still hold and build, I can get much riskier with my portfolio. But if this headline fades fast and oil turns right back up, BTC could lose the move. And I think another leg down becomes very real again. And that is the framework I truly care about, not predictions, only the process, not the excitement, just execution. So, yes, Taco Pump did it again. The headline changed. Oil got crushed. Bitcoin pumped, but I'm not ready to scream that we're back yet. I still think the market's fragile, and I still think uncertainty is the real story, and I still think another leg down is possible. So please, if this video helped, hit that like and subscribe button and comment below. Are you buying the pump? Are you short in the market? Are you just sitting in some stable yield plays right now? Let me know in the comments. And for more real-time market thoughts, my DeFi positioning, and my leverage trades, consider joining our Telegram group and check out dadsdefispace.org and go find us over on Base, Zora, and Farcaster. And remember, this is educational only, not financial advice, and always manage your own risk. Until next time, ladies and gentlemen, peace